Hey, Mitch.
Hey, that's what's called a rough start, but we're gonna have a
Yeah.
beautiful ending. Stay tuned.
Oh, oh, this is amazing. So, I don't know if anybody is here with us right now because StreamYard
Well,
is
yeah,
so weird.
they'll show up,
It's so
believe me.
weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there they are. No, they're here. I told 'em, "Yeah, we did it, guys. No, my friend Selena's here, Tambler Grable's here. We're all
Oh,
here.
good.
Let's just get started." Yeah, sorry
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that, guys.
totally.
StreamYard, sometimes they really I shouldn't say that because they might cut me off, but go ahead. So nice to see you, Amy, and thank you for inviting
Yeah.
me on.
Hi, Mitch. So let me just tell
Hi.
people
Okay.
what happened. And I don't know if anyone from my channel, if anyone is viewing on my channel, can you confirm that you're able to see me? Because it's so weird. Like I scheduled this and it put up two different streams. So I
Yeah.
deleted one of them. And so when we went to go and start, it said you can't start. So I had to delete the stream and then anyway, end the stream and then reschedule it. And so then now it shows 2 again, and I don't know what StreamYard's doing, but it's a little frustrating. So I Hi, Amy, we see you. Thank you, Mitch and Amy. Beautiful.
Yeah, I think
I'm
we're
so
good. I'm
happy.
gonna have to go and add this to my I think, they should if you can, if it's streaming on I'm streaming to my audience, so just if you can open a tab and watch, keep them both going, that would be great. So, Amy, I'm so
Yes.
excited.
Hi,
I can't
Mitch.
wait to hear what you have to ask me.
Oh my gosh. Well, this is long overdue, Mitch.
Okay.
You know, um, you've been out for a little while now. How long have you been out? And speaking
Since
out,
I
like
well, I really have only been speaking out since last July, and I
uh-huh.
only did that was I put a little promo for my book on July. I thought it was gonna be out by the end of September, but now we finally have a release date of well, the date that we're going for, which is,
Yeah.
Black Friday in November. So,
Okay,
yeah, it's not
wow.
been that long. I mean, I really stopped interacting with gold. I stopped going up there in beginning of 2020 when lockdown hit, and then I had some
Mhm.
further interaction with them after that, but I was like, "Ooh." I mean, I'd been trying to leave for years. One of the things that did it for me was when I really started to see firsthand some of the abuse, and not even the worst of it, but when I started to see that, I couldn't keep the lid on. You compartmentalize, right? You do
Mhm.
this. It's how the only way you can survive once you've been tricked and you rely on all of that. But some things start to just push the lid off the box and come out.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, that was 10 years ago or something when I saw David Miscavige
Mm.
just brutally traumatizing 3 staff members,
Oh,
and
sorry.
really out in the open, like right in front of the dining room. It was just horrible.
Wow, wow. Was that Cine
Yeah.
staff members or
No, no, it was, well, you know them. It was, I don't really wanna say their names.
Okay.
No, they had been CMO staff, I think. They were in
Mhm.
staff. They were not gold staff, these 3 guys.
Mhm.
I mean,
Okay.
eventually they probably were because eventually everybody was gold staff, right?
Oh,
Like,
I
there
know.
is no more int, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, yeah, so, I mean, I was in gold and in CMOint and back and forth,
Right.
several
But
times,
you were
and
you were
CMO
in
gold.
CMO gold, right?
For
I
no, I
forget.
was CMOint, but when I interacted with you, I was in CMO gold,
Right, that's
and,
what I remember. Right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway, but
Yeah.
so you in July is really when you started speaking out. That's interesting. Well, you wrote to me, and I was so happy to hear from you. And you said maybe, we could do a video together. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I've got this list that's never ending and it keeps growing. And so many
Yeah, I'm
people want to
sure.
do, and I want to talk to everybody. I do.
Right.
But I was really excited. I told Matt the other day, I said, if there's one video that I'm looking forward to doing, it's the one with Mitch. And the reason why is because it's so interesting to me um, to hear. I have so many questions for you to hear from your perspective you were for like 20 years at the int base, maybe more,
More like
and
28.
I 28, okay, and I was
I
there for
was a
20
couple of
years.
years at SMP, so
Right, in between, right? And,
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, SMP didn't exist when I was there, but,
No,
so it was all int based. They had Mad Hatter or whatever, but didn't really use it
right,
that
which
much.
is that
Yeah.
well, I used to use it a lot, but that's part of SMP now. For
Oh,
those
is
of you
it?
who don't know, that's Scientology Media Productions. Mad Hatter
Yep,
was recording studio, pretty famous recording studio that had been owned by Chick Corea, and a lot of
yep,
famous people had recorded albums there, and then he sold it to the church when he moved to Florida.
that's
So,
right, and it wasn't really being used. It was purchased, but not really being used when I
no.
was there. So they
Right,
must
it
have
was
done,
kinda run down.
mhm,
Then they just poured millions of dollars into it, and they made it a kind of
mm,
a showpiece, and yeah,
yeah.
and it's now part of Scientology Media Productions.
Okay. I've never been there to Scientology Media Productions. I'd be interested to
Yeah.
see what that was like,
Well,
but at
you can go to Scientology.tv, and well, actually, if you want, Rachel Hastings, who is a I don't did you
yeah.
know Rachel? She and
I
I
don't
worked together.
remember Rachel, but yeah.
You know who she is. Well, that's because she
Yes.
was one of the what we called the remote teams. Remember those guys? The remote
Mhm.
teams that were sent around the world to shoot the documentaries. And so I worked with her when I go to LA. We'd pick up those teams, and we became very good friends not long after she joined the Sea Org. And then when I
Yeah.
went to Scientology Media Productions, we worked together. And there's a documentary that I helped to make about Scientology Media Productions. It's on the Scientology network, but I made a copy of it, and then Rachel and I walked the audience through it. So you could
Oh, I
always
have to
watch
see
it.
that.
Yeah, you could
Yeah,
watch
so
that.
that's
It's
on
on
your
my
channel.
channel. Yeah,
Okay. I
think
will
it's
for sure.
I think it's called The Cult Leader's Secret Lair. So
Right. Well, I'd rather watch
yeah.
it on your channel than on
Yeah,
Scientology
yeah, no,
channel, that's for sure.
you'll like it. You'll get a kick out of it. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, I'm
I
so
mean,
happy that Rachel got out of there.
oh my god. Yeah, I was at her she has a couple of foster kids, her and her partner, and they did a pumpkin carving contest over the weekend, and I went over there. She only lives like
Oh,
15 minutes from me, and it was just such a good
oh.
time. It's so
Oh,
nice to
I can
just be
imagine.
authentically hanging out with people.
Ah,
Yeah,
totally. I
yeah, it's
know, I
amazing.
know. Boy, some of the best times I ever had was just my old friends, just because you can't replace the experiences that you have with people when you're in the
No,
trenches for so many decades, like
yeah,
the stories. Nobody can understand. We could try to
no,
explain, but
it's true. It's well, I was talking to Mike Brown, and he's like hardcore military, right?
yeah,
And we were talking
love
about,
him.
yeah, he's such a great guy.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this idea that you hear that soldiers, if you ask them what they're fighting for, they'll tell you, they're fighting for the guy next to them, right? They're not fighting for the
Yeah.
flag or the country or whatever, but they're really fighting for the guys with them in the trenches. And that's kind of like what it was for us, except, we thought we
Yeah.
were fighting a really good fight, and that we just had some really bad people at the top. And then
Yeah.
but then we had each other in the trenches. And so we
And
would form these friendships.
it's what yeah, yeah, and that's what kept us in, I think, a lot,
Part of it, partly,
because
yeah.
you for me, it was like I could endure hardships, but I didn't want to let my comrades down that,
Oh, so
I'd worked
weird,
with for
Amy. It's
so
so
long.
weird. I wasn't even restricted to the base the way you guys were, and yet
Yeah.
I didn't wanna leave because what would happen to so many people that I cared about. It's
Mhm.
just the
Mhm.
weirdest stuff that keeps you there.
I know, I know. But yeah, so I saw you at first in 1990, and I believe that's the year
Yeah,
that you came up to the base. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
I was in the
yeah,
personnel division up in
yeah.
CMO
S
International, Commodore's Messenger Org
Oh,
International. I was in personnel. I was over the, personnel department, and I was always working on bringing people, up to the int base. And,
so you knew when
so
I
yeah,
showed up.
sorry, when you
Yeah, it's okay.
arrived, I remember that. it was because, you had long hair.
I did. I had
You
a
stood out.
ponytail.
Yeah, you
Yeah, I had a
you really
ponytail.
stood out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also, one of the things that's so funny that goes along with having a professional brought to the base is everyone has to be on their best behavior.
Oh, yeah. They all had to call
Um,
me Mr. Brisker and sir. It was just
course.
weird. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
just
like,
weird.
we needed to schmooze you and make you think that everything was just so wonderful there, and
Oh,
anything
yeah.
that could be considered dirty laundry could not get on your lines.
Oh, no, no. Jackson told me this story. He was in charge of my clearances, right? And
Yeah.
I'm looking for a photo of when I came up there, but I don't know if I can find it. Anyway,
Yeah.
Jackson told me this story that he was in charge of my clearances, and he was in charge of, there was some concern that some Sea Org members would be going, well, I'm not going to listen to this guy. He's not in the Sea Org. Um, I'm gonna have to check with somebody else. Like, hey, this guy, and so Jackson was there to make sure that that didn't happen. The people were 100% compliant. So, and then another person reached out to me, not who I worked with, who I'm not going to mention their name, who was on the crew when I first came up there, and she said they were told no fraternizing with Mitch, no telling personal stuff, no, and it was just weird. It was
Keep
because
it
I was like.
professional.
Yeah, I was like, "Hey guys, let's go to work." It
Yeah.
was like
Yeah.
I was used to having a pretty lively set, and that just
Yeah.
wasn't going to happen up there. So
It loosened up a bit though, didn't it, after you were there
no,
for a
it did.
while?
Once
'Cause it
once the
yeah.
films got done, and then it was like because I mean you probably know this, but the problems they were having getting films done, I was not fully
Oh
aware of
my
it. I
god.
just I just knew the
It
films
was
they
it
were
was,
doing were.
oh,
It was really painful. Like the
garbage.
crew, they were like they were banished to the galley before I
Yeah,
got there. They were only let out to work with me. They were like, they
yeah.
opened their cage. I didn't know any of this was going on.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
but then after we got some films on, it was like their life was transformed. They were like heroes, and we were all friends, and there was no question they would listen to me because it was like,
Yeah, of course. You got the
absolutely.
product. You got the product.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was the thing, like, that's what gained somebody ethics presence or respect,
yeah.
at the int base, is if you got something done and it was
Oh,
good quality, and it also made David Miscavige happy, but,
yeah, look,
um, so
it made him happy if it made him look good. That's what made
I
him
know,
happy, was what
I
made
know.
him look good. Like he could take total credit. Like, I brought this guy up, we haven't been able to make it. He was on the original film crew that was just
Yeah, he's the
a
one that did the
total
garbage.
disaster. Yeah, I tell you, Amy, in my estimation, the one single thing that says that whatever L. Ron Hubbard said or wrote was utter bullshit is the fact that Golden Era Productions spent millions of dollars on thousands of man hours following exactly what he said in terms of how you make a film, and it was shit. And they
Yeah,
had to
yeah, it
actually
really
go out
was.
and yeah, and they had to hire people, and the same thing with audio.
Yeah,
They had to hire people.
yeah.
Back speaking of David Miscavige being on the crew when he was 16 years old, he was a cameraman with Hubbard.
Mhm.
And those guys, they made these really crappy films. And then Hubbard, he decided that the reason that they were so bad it was because they were suffering from a spiritual deficit, not because they didn't have experience or talent. And he invented superpower to try to fix them spiritually so they can make good films. It's just
Ugh.
like the opposite of how you go about doing things. But anyway,
Yeah. Yeah,
crazy.
absolutely.
Yeah. So you
So
were in
you had to
personnel.
take a
Yeah.
yeah, when you first got there, I was in personnel, and then shortly thereafter, I became the watchdog committee member for Celebrity Centers.
Oh,
So
right.
that's where
Absolutely.
mhm, and I was on that for, like,
Right.
I was in the
Yeah.
watchdog
You
committee
were
for a long
like Big
time.
Cheese for a
Yeah.
long time because you were over that
But,
whole Celebrity Center network.
yeah, at one point, I was well, several points, but I was busted into gold, and, but as I was coming back up because Shelley Miscavige wanted to put me back into the watchdog committee, and I became WDC Gold, just so you know, for a little while. Hot seat. Um,
Do
but
we need to explain to
Shelley
people what the Watchdog Committee
okay,
was?
yeah, WDC, Watchdog Committee. It's
It sounds
basically the
pretty
highest
gnarly. It sounds like,
it is gnarly.
watchdog. Yeah.
It's the highest management. The only thing higher is RTC, but they're not management, so it's the highest management
Right.
body that's
Right.
that's responsible for putting their sector there and seeing that it's
Right.
run properly.
Yeah. What
So
was
I
the?
I held
wh-
I held several sectors. Like I
Yeah.
held the Celebrity Center for about a decade.
Right.
I did the Scientology sector, which is all the organizations around the world. I did the Sea Org sector. I did the Golden Era Studios
Right.
sector, and I did the ABLE sector, which is the Association for Better Living and Education,
Right.
which is
Right.
over Applied Scholastics, Narconon, Criminon, A Way to Happiness,
Right.
and whatever else I missed.
No,
But
that's it. And also known as the social betterment, the initiatives.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. But then I
Yeah.
was also
Yeah.
in CMO Gold, and I got to tell you the times when I worked with you, and see if you can
Okay.
remember these.
Okay.
Well, cine messengers were
Right.
people that used to wear the checkered shirts.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And
They had the race
were they
car motif,
yeah, the race car
the
motif.
flags. They had like a
Ch
flag.
Yep,
Yeah.
checkered shirts, and they were responsible for getting, the cine division just bypassed everything and just went straight into the cine division and made sure, quote, unquote, that the targets were met for that, day.
Right.
Um, and I remember 2 people that were cine messengers, which was Monica Prince and, Frank Fenn.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Because when I got there, Monica was the talent chief
Okay, so she was busted out of the CMO and
and
then
made the
put
talent
into
chief, right?
cine. Yeah.
What
And
is
Frank
it,
was
Amy? Hold,
probably
well, just stop a second. Okay, just stop. What is it with everybody when they're busted? They get busted in a cine. What is
yeah, I
with that?
know.
I mean, that
I
was
think
like L. Ron Hubbard's cine org. Like that's the reason he set the place up. But then when
yeah.
you got in trouble, that's where Miss Gavage would always send people to cine.
I th
So
I
weird.
know. I know. I think that it's because always needed to be beefed up, so
Yeah, and
that
they
it was
always needed
suddenly a
films.
resource,
Yeah. Yeah,
you
and I
know?
used to think that he was hoping that I'd rub off on them, and then and then
Yeah,
somehow
I
working with
know.
Cindy, they'd become better people, and then he could take them back. But he never took the
Right.
ones I wanted him to take.
Oh.
Yeah, there were definitely people I wanted out of there. You know how hard it's really hard to get rid of people.
Yeah, yeah, I know, when especially at the int base, that's for
Okay,
sure.
so you were
But,
saying when we worked together, you were a cine messenger.
yeah, and, so I was down on the set, this is down at the castle, and I don't remember what the year was, maybe,
Well, early
88 or something.
2000s if it
No,
was the
no,
castle.
it would have been the early 2000s, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
especially 'cau yeah, so it was Isaac Hayes was up there, and I
Oh,
think it was the
we were doing,
YTRs?
YPRs. Huh?
YTRs?
Yeah.
YTRs? Is that what
Yeah,
the
yeah,
yeah!
yeah, yeah.
I didn't know if I had the right film, but yeah,
Yeah, no, 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 no,
YTRs,
that was
and
it. We were doing that was the first film we shot in the Cine Castle. It's the reason
I
why
was
we
there
have
for
that
that.
giant green screen because I wanted
Yes,
it to shoot this sci-fi film, and so I
yes,
said,
and
"We
he
need
was
a
he was
giant
on this floating platform in
platform,"
space,
yeah, with
and
that
he
beautiful
kept messing
African
up.
robe on.
Oh, he just
Yeah.
looked amazing. He was my favorite celebrity,
Oh,
I knew him.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
and
he kept
he
messing up his
yeah.
line, I gotta tell you, remember, this is it, it's gone through my mind so many times since then. He would say he was supposed to say, "Earth is not necessarily the most inhabited planet in the universe."
The only
Instead
inhabited right, the Earth is not the only inhabited
necessarily
planet in the universe.
yes,
Right.
and he said, not necessarily," and then
Yeah, not
instead, what
necessarily right.
he kept saying, "Earth is not necessarily the most inhibited planet in the universe."
Right.
You'd say, "Cut."
Yeah. Well, I
He
can
kept
tell you,
saying inhibited.
Isaac Hayes never met a line that he could remember. He was horrible with
That
his
is so
lines, but
he had a teleprompter and he kept saying inhibited, inhibited,
yeah.
inhibited instead of
Well, but
inhabited.
the problem is that the lines all had to be perfect because Hubbard wrote them. Hibbard, no, I'm doing it.
I know.
And you know, in a lot of actors like Isaac, and there's other guys like Jeffrey Lewis and some other guys that we worked with. You know, I doubt that Jack Nicholson, he'll do 20 takes and one of them might match the script. There's a lot
Right.
of extemporaneous ad libbing, and we wouldn't allow him to do that, so it was really hard for him. But yeah, that
Yes.
was a painful one. Oh God,
Yeah, it was painful. He's over and over,
yeah,
but everyone got a kick out of it though, because it was funny. It was funny
yeah, and
because
he
he
had
kept
fun. I
saying that
Yeah,
Earth is inhibited.
and yeah, it's not the only inhibited planet, right? So you
There
were
was
on the
that
set when
one.
we were shooting that
I
one.
was on the set, yeah, with
Yeah.
Annie. Do you remember? You of course, you knew
Oh,
Annie
yeah, we
well,
were
right?
very
Yeah.
she was one of my closest, closest you could have. When you're in
Yep.
Scientology, you don't really have friends because you can't really confide in people because
No.
they'll rat you out, but yeah,
Yeah,
I was close
and
with Annie. She spent a lot of time on the set. After she came back from being
yep,
busted and
yep,
leaving and all that stuff, and she worked her way back into CMO Gold, and
yep.
before the castle, when we were working at Norton, remember that? We rented the
Yeah,
studio at the Air
that's
Force
my other
Base.
one
Okay.
at the hangar, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
not a
I
hangar. No, 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 not a hangar. This was an Air
what
Force
was it?
studio. It was a sound stage it was
Oh,
part of the Air Force motion picture wing. They had a couple of studios. This is where all of the generals' briefings for the Vietnam War were photographed.
really?
Yeah, it might have been where they did the alien autopsy because we found some really creepy stuff there.
Oh
And it
my
was
god.
it was literally a nuke-proof soundstage next to a runway, and
Wow.
you could take off. You could fly an F-16 jet off of the deck, off of that runway, and you couldn't hear it in the studio. This place, it was
Yeah.
insane, and the cement, the concrete on the runway was 4 feet thick. It was literally designed to in the Cold War to sustain like a nuclear blast. So, but yeah, before
Wow, I didn't
the
know that.
castle. Oh yeah, because you never came out there. Unfortunately, you should have come out there.
I did it.
Oh, did you?
I got yeah, I got, cast as an extra on a TR. I was
Yeah.
doing TRs with a group of people, and so I
Oh,
was
you were
in
that
there.
was you're right. That was in the TRs in Life. That last scene we did.
Yes.
That was the one
Yeah,
that
with
everybody
a
got
bunch of
busted on. Where we stayed up all night. Was it that one?
I
Do
don't know.
you
I all I
remember?
know is that I was there all
I can't
day
believe.
having
Yeah, yeah, sitting in one chair in the
sitting in the
background.
same stupid chair. Mhm.
Yeah, it's
Just being an
horrible.
extra. Yeah, but I was happy to be
Yeah.
there because I wasn't in int getting yelled at.
Yeah, and you couldn't be messed. Yeah, Sterling and I talked about that. That it was
Mhm.
great to be on the set because no, everybody leave you alone because you were working on a film.
Absolutely. Like, it was a whole different world. It was a whole
Yeah.
different world. I mean, it was like a relief, and it was
Yeah.
something that was actually being produced instead of sitting there in management getting yelled at about writing
Yeah.
dumb programs that aren't gonna do anything,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? And
No.
so I was there, and it was also super, super professional. Like, the crew knew what they were doing. I was so
Mhm.
impressed. The crew knew what they were doing, you were in charge. The place was outstanding. I mean, that castle,
Oh, the
does it get
castle
any
was
nicer than that?
it's one of the best studios in Southern California. Believe it or
Yeah,
the problem with gold is not equipment. It's
right.
like the problem with
No.
gold is how they
They
treat the staff. It's not yeah,
no.
anyway.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so that was beautiful, and I also did I don't know what this was for, but we went out to a park somewhere, and I was an extra there too. It might have been the thing that you were talking about with the ice cream cones maybe? Because
With
I
what?
somehow
What?
remembered that. You were talking about with Sterling
Oh,
that
when
nobody
I
could
bought
get
the
an ice
crew ice
cream.
cream? Yeah, because it was just like, you're not gonna like, "Oh, we're on our way to the car because we finished shooting.
Yeah,
We're in a public park and there's an ice cream parlor." Like, they're not gonna
yeah,
stop in and have an ice cream. But anyway,
yeah,
I did, and then I saw yeah, it could have been that was at some park somewhere in Riverside, I think. Yeah, I
right,
don't remember
and
what
so
that was.
it took a while to get there, and we were there the whole day, and it was a beautiful sunny day,
Oh,
and
it
it was
might have been
so
San
nice to be
Diego. It might have been
maybe.
Lacey what's it called? The famous park, in San Diego. It's, I'll think of
Yeah,
it.
I don't yeah, but so I got to do that with the crew, and that was fun,
Right.
and then I did one other one, which was, maybe it's not the only one, but I'm thinking it was a commercial to become a field staff member, and we
For
shot that in the, old gym. Do you remember the gym? You might maybe it was
the
before
s
you
the
got there?
the studio, you mean? The
Yeah.
gym, the
Yeah,
studio?
this
Oh, no, I shot in that.
over
The first
you did
first
shoot in
2
there.
films, maybe oh, yeah, that's because I was there in 1990. We didn't have the
Hangar.
castle was finished in, like, 1999, and then
Right.
we went to Norton to shoot in the studio there next to the hangars. Um,
Yeah. I keep saying in the
w
hangar because that's all I
what
remember about
it well, it looked like a hangar. It looked like a hangar.
And yeah,
It
yeah,
yeah, it did absolutely look like a hangar.
yeah.
And then we went to Norton in probably 95 or 6 or
Oh, so you got a
7.
5-year yeah, at least 5 years
Maybe
where you were using the
maybe it was only 3 years, but it was
okay.
Norton was Mark and I have talked about Norton a lot. We're doing this series about the tech films. We've talked about it a lot.
Yes.
That
Oh,
place
I'm
was
sure you
crazy. And
did.
then, we rented it from a Native American tribe, which is a really strange thing. I don't know how Gold found out about this, but that was a government property, and the Native Americans who call themselves Indians. So don't harsh me if I use the word Indian, because this Chumash. I'm trying to think of the tribe out in. I think the Morongo Indians. I think it is. They call themselves Indians. I met these guys, and
Yeah,
they're terrific, and so that the treaty with the Indians said, with the Native Americans said, when the government deems the land obsolete, and Bill Clinton had shut it down in that program when they were closing military bases, and so it reverted to the Indians, right? Except there were a bunch of greedy local businessmen who got part of it, whatever. But the part of it that had the studio on it went back to this tribe, right? And they came out
yeah,
one day in their blacked out SUVs, because they own a casino, they have plenty of money, and they're
yeah.
blacked out SUVs, and their beautiful long black hair, their ponytails, and all this jewelry and their cowboy hats, and they just look really regal. They drove out and like said, "Hey, we're your new landlords." And they were great. Do you know, Amy, they invited us to come and spend the day at their casino for nothing on them. And I went
Wow!
back to
Oh my
Gold.
god.
Yeah, because they were really like, they're like, and I thought, oh, we should probably say yes, because I think we need to be polite. And I went back to Gold, and I was telling whoever was in charge, like, you got to let us go to the casino. They invited us. They wouldn't have anything to do
Oh.
with it. They're like, no, you're not going to the casino. So anyway,
Oh, they should've
I almost
obviously let you
got
go.
us a free day at the casino.
Yeah, yeah, but you should
Yeah,
have gone for sure.
but, sorry, I
Um,
interrupted you. You were saying
no, that's okay. I started looking at also while you were talking, I started, starring just a few things because, there's some comments that I'm gonna wanna pop up when we get there, and I don't wanna
okay,
miss them.
okay,
Um,
good, no problem. Yeah,
but
my
but
laptop's
yeah.
not working, so I have to look this way to see my comments, so
Oh, is that what's
people,
happening?
if it looks like I'm not
That's
paying
okay.
attention when I do this, I'm 100% paying attention, okay?
Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, and when I'm looking over like that, that's because I'm looking at the comments.
Yeah, but you're
Anyway, I can
100%
see
paying
my make
attention, because you look good, you look fine. You're looking good, Amy, you're looking good.
Well,
Your makeup's looking good.
thank you.
You're
Ah!
welcome.
Um, somebody had asked, was it Balboa
Balboa
Park?
Park, ding, 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 ding. I couldn't remember the name of
Yes!
it. Thank you. We used
Yes.
to shoot there a lot in San Diego and Balboa Park, because there's no location fees in San Diego. They do that to
Okay.
attract production, and it's a great place to shoot. Best weather in America, literally. And yeah, we used to
Yeah,
shoot there a lot.
so
Yeah,
nice. So nice.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Horrible drive.
Um,
I hated the drive.
oh, I
But
know.
anyway,
Yeah, yeah. But let's see what else I had on here. You know, uh, I mean, part of the thing I was busted. Of course, I'm always getting busted, but anyway. And so I was on the crew that was building the castle. I mean, that was a
Oh,
project
you
in
got
itself.
busted to the construction crew.
Yep. I
Yeah.
did a lot. I know how to build. I could build a building from the ground up, from the
Yeah,
concrete
you
floor
could probably
on up.
build your own home.
I could easily.
Yeah,
I've done
yeah.
every single trade over the 20 years, because at the int base, every week, and if you're busted, you're doing it full time, but every week at least, you are doing the construction and renovations with estates for
Renos.
the whole property. Mhm,
Mhm.
and I did a lot. I mean, I did all the electrical, I did all the plumbing, I did all the framing, I did all the, sheetrock and mud and tape and paint, and I had to get it passed by David Miscavige, some of my mudding and taping and painting jobs, so if he saw a single thing that he would take a hammer to
Right.
the wall, you know,
Oh,
and
yeah.
so he never did have to,
Yeah.
because I made it perfect, but yeah, yeah, forget
Well,
it.
yeah, they should have had you designing logos because you did such a good job on your logo. I'm like, I'm shocked you didn't
Yeah,
they didn't pull you into the art department.
yeah, I actually have a lot of fun, really creating on the effects and designs and things like
Right.
that. I just have a lot of fun with it. So, I never had to do it before, and I kind of jumped in with both feet. Yeah, I mean, I don't know all the tricks and stuff like you do about lighting and all that kind of stuff, but I was always
Like,
so impressed, so
yeah, I
impressed.
could teach you that in 10 minutes. It's nothing to it.
Really,
It's
I'll
nothing to
I'll
it,
learn about that.
literally.
Do you remember the time when CMO International took all of L. Ron Hubbard's policies and laid them out around the entire castle? All the
On the tables
hallways of the
in the hallways. Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. We had like 100
Absolutely.
tables that went around the hallways of the entire castle,
Yeah,
and
so just
to
so
be able to
people know,
put
just yeah, just
Go
let me
ahead.
give them a picture real quick. Just
Yeah,
let me give you a
yeah.
visual on what Amy's talking about. When you go now, this is an 80,000 square foot building that has about a 22,000 square foot sound studio, and then a bunch of offices around it. And there's a hallway that traverses three sides of the studio, the inside. And that hallway is big enough to drive at least a Mini Cooper in. Like it's a
Yes.
big, big hallway. And
Yeah.
so it's no problem to lay out tables like the size of long picnic tables without benches on all three walls. So they laid these tables out and laid down every policy.
Every policy of L. Ron Hubbard, green on white,
Yeah,
organizational policy, w from one end to the other in date order, so
right.
that we can then us executives would be sent down by David Miscavige to sort out these things. I mean, it was the most ridiculous, stupid,
Yeah,
asinine order
yeah,
ever, and so a team of us would get sent down, and we would make a proposal or whatever, like, what should be what sequence they should all be in,
right,
and because we're gonna have to change the dates, or we're gonna have to modify or revise or whatever, and
right,
then it's an impossible task. So we would go
right.
down, spend days, and then that team would come up, and he would hate the proposal, so we'd all get busted, and then he would
Oh,
take another
God.
team, send them down there, and it just went on for I don't know how long those stupid tables were down there,
Well,
but,
yeah, I because we used to go in and shoot every day, and we walk by, and there'd be all these tables.
one of the things I noted down is where Mitch was, people had to be civilized. Was that your reality there? Were people civilized?
um, well, yes and no. I mean, I saw plenty of yelling and screaming. Towards the end of my career at Gold, I definitely had my share of being yelled and screamed at. I even had some people, Amy, lose it so effing bad that one person looked at me and screamed at the top of their lungs, jabbing a finger at me, "You're a Sea Org member. Like, how dare you?"
Oh,
Like, they were that confused.
ugh,
And they stopped themselves in the midst of their
insanity.
psychotic, yeah, and kind of like they knew they but it was just I saw enough of it. They were pretty civilized, but we were also very forward facing in that we were interfacing with a lot of people, public coming in, actors coming
Yeah.
in, other professionals
Yes.
coming in. So, no matter what your station in life is or where you're working, you're always going to put your best face forward. But at gold, your worst face is really
Yeah.
horrific. I mean, it's
I
just
mean,
the
at the
sum of
int base, this is so from my perspective at the int base, you're on 580 acres of property, all fenced in. You're the only people there, and no one will hear if you're screamed at.
no,
No one
or if
will
you're
see
screaming,
if you're yeah, and no one will see if you're, decked, if you're, punched or thrown in the lake or any of this kind of
right?
stuff. No one will see except Mitch, you know,
Yeah, I would be the
because
only one.
there was because you were on the property and the only other people that were there was Dan Sherman, but he hung out at the G's, which was like as if he wasn't on the property.
Yeah,
Um
or once BV was built, the L. Ron Hubbard Museum House Mausoleum, whatever the hell it was. Once that was built, the Dan worked up there.
he did.
So yeah, he had
Nobody
an
was supposed
office.
to enter that place. Oh,
Oh no, there
that's the
was a
first
hu-
time I've
there
heard about that.
yeah, there was a biographer's office. It was almost like these kind of M on D messenger on duty offices, like wherever Hubbard was, there'd be little
Yeah,
ante
of
rooms,
course.
like little auxiliary rooms, and they were called the person there was called an M on D, which stood for messenger on duty. Like
Mhm.
the guys that were on the ship and stuff. So there was like an M on D type little complex on the first floor that had a side exterior entrance. There was an office for him, office for his assistant, and a research room, and blah 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 blah. Oh yeah, that's totally they put his office in there in
I
that
had
fifty
no
million
idea.
dollar mausoleum or whatever it
Oh
cost.
my god, that okay. So I renovated the first house, and it was so
Yeah,
stupid. Like, they
but
they
hey, hold it.
lifted the
That was
entire
called
thing
BV
up.
too, wasn't it? It was called
Yeah,
BV as well. Yeah, that's what
well,
I
the
thought.
the the location of where the house is called BV Bonneview because it's at the top of the mountain, hill, and
Yeah,
it
it's got
overlooks the
that
valley.
great view. It's an amazing view.
Oh, I've seen it from we were up all night, every night, all for
Oh
years to get
God.
the first house done. And so I saw it in every, um, season of the year and at every time of the day, morning, night, everything, because we never slept until we got L. Ron Hubbard's house done, and it was so stupid
Right.
because they kept the bones of this old house and and lifted it up because it needed a new foundation instead of just doing a new stupid house. And so but then all of the framing had to be treated with it's called Busan and Zelac and copper tone, like or all this stuff. Um, copper tone. That sounds like a I don't know if it was
Yeah.
copper tone. Let's see, what was it called? It Zelac,
Copper something.
butane. Let's see, I don't know. Anyway, the whole thing had to be treated with these chemicals so that no termites would eat the wood.
Right. Right.
So we're spraying Zelac and we're spraying Busan and this white stuff, and copper sulfate, was it? Copper sulfate, where you have to dunk it in this green liquid first and then re-put the wood back up there. It was totally crazy. Um, and then frame it. And then we did all this, what's it called? Um, Formica furniture. Everything, couches, everything was made out of this stupid Formica.
Yeah, that really
It was a
80s,
it was
kind of
so 80s.
spackly. Yeah, I know.
I mean,
They
we
had a
were
lot of
in the
that.
80s, so
Yeah, but yeah, but they didn't have to do it. Yeah, I mean,
it
when I
was
last time yeah,
hundreds of or thousands of man-hours on this thing for 2 straight years, and then it was bulldozed, and a new one was built. So, it was such a waste of
yeah,
time. My life
yeah,
was just like, flush it. Nothing was produced.
right,
Yeah.
right.
What were you gonna say?
Nothing. I was just thinking about that house. The last time I was up there was, I think I was up there in early 2020. And hey, sweetie, what do you want? My dog wants a snack. He's
Okay.
growling.
Yeah.
I don't know. How do you keep your dogs under control while you're streaming? I'm
Well,
really bad at it.
you are.
How
Um,
old are your dogs, Amy?
Both of my dogs went to new homes, honey. They did.
Oh, did
And
they? I'm
that's a
sorry.
yeah, that's a conversation in itself.
Yeah,
Um,
then let's move on.
yeah, but so you in 2020, you were, at the BV, Bonnie View, that's the
Yeah, I think
elephant
well, no,
house.
I think actually the last time I was there really was in 2016 when, if you
Nice.
remember, 2 weeks before Ron Miscavige's book was released, he had an exclusive deal with ABC TV. What,
Mhm.
2020, he had an exclusive, interview with them, and I was working at, it was 2016. I was working at Scientology Media Productions at the time, and Dave, like, he freaked out, and he said, "We're all going up to Gold, and we're gonna make videos,"
Oh, I wanna
right?
hear
So
this. I wanna hear
yeah,
this.
we're gonna go up to
Oh.
Gold. Well, they're online. It was one of the okay, I'll get to that, but
Mhm.
2020 had, done what they always do is they say, "Do you wanna respond? We're gonna do the show, Mr. Miscavige. We got your dad here, and he's gonna come on here and talk about his book," right?
Yeah.
And so, "Would you like to respond? We'd like to give you a chance to respond." So, the response was, "Come on, everybody, we're gonna go up to Gold," me and, some other people, and then for, like, 3 days, I just directed a bunch of videos. I interviewed myself, we interviewed a bunch of other people, I said horrible things about Ron, um,
Aw.
and then I
Even though he
shot
was the nicest guy at the int
he was a
base,
nice
wasn't he?
guy. Yeah, he was like yeah, I mean, he did raise a monster, but, that
Oh, I
wasn't
know, but
necessarily
he
his
was friendly. He was very friendly and,
he was extremely friendly. The worst thing I could say about Ron, other than he raised a monster, was that he really did have some pretty he was really full of dad jokes. He was like the dad
was he?
joke guy. Yeah,
Oh
well,
god.
yeah, I'm sure you experienced that. He would just make some joke, and you're like, "Wow, that was funny." Not tasteless joke, just like a dad joke.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, so I did a bunch of interviews with Norman Starkey in the BV library. So, and it's on ABC. There's a site called ronmiscavigebook.com. And if you go to that
Okay.
site, you'll see interviews with the Mitch Brisker director talking smack about Ron. I took
Okay.
that video and I made a copy of it, and I did a reaction video to it with myself in a little picture talking about it. It's on my
Yeah.
channel. I only did
Okay.
2 videos on my channel. Everything else is live, but I did one, reacting to the Ron Miscavige video and then one reacting to the Gold video. Did you watch that? My reaction video to the Gold video?
Yes.
Did you see it?
That's the one
Okay.
that's the one I did see. Oh, it's so
Y
ridiculous. I mean, okay, it's the whole theme of what was her name? Crystal.
Oh
Run
my god.
jogging through nobody
Yeah.
jogs through the int base like that. Oh, like, I'm
No.
gonna just
Well,
be
no, actually, Crystal
jogging
used
while
to
these
get up
people are
yeah, she used to
playing
get up at
volleyball.
6 o'clock in the morning and jog because Crystal was a runner. But the most insane thing in the world is that literally her job is to take care of the staff. That is 100% her job. And 150 yards away from where she's jogging. What year did you leave?
I left the base in, July of 2003, and I left the Sea Org in 2005.
Okay, so not you, but other people that you probably knew were locked up in the hole when that video was made. That's the
Yeah.
real tragedy
Oh my
is
god.
yeah, so she's jogging
It's
along saying, "I really like to take care of people. That's what I like to do. I like to take care of people that like to take care of people." And they got people locked up in the hole. So it was I had to do something. I felt and
I'm
I
so
didn't know
glad
it at the time. So I
I'm
had
so
to
glad
just
that you did that. That,
yeah, it needed to be
the
done.
video that, like, kind of reveals it, and also, it just doesn't happen. You don't have anybody at the int base jogging around, playing
No.
volleyball, and all this stuff
No,
that
I know.
was
It
being
was so
shown on that.
choreographed. Yeah, it was so
Hated it.
choreographed. It was just I know.
Such a lie, such a lie.
The only thing that was truthful in that whole video is there's a quick shot of the security guard driving by, and he looks back at Crystal. That was about the only thing that was accurate.
Yeah, like, "What are you doing? What are you
Yeah,
doing
what are you
running?"
doing? Yeah, yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Oh gosh,
So, yeah, I mean, I
but
didn't know about the hole until 2015. So I didn't know about it when that video
were you
was
still
done.
there when did you find
Oh,
out?
yeah, yeah,
Were
yeah,
you
yeah.
what
It was
happened?
happening how did I find out?
Yeah.
Oh, well, believe it or not, when I was for years and years and years, like all these years you're talking about, and you're saying like you got to be civilized around Mitch and all this stuff. My job
Yeah.
was to make the church and make Dave look good because there were all
Yeah.
these films and it was other people's job to make people look bad, right? Other people had that job. That's what OSA does. They make people look bad, like as part of their job.
Yeah.
So over time, I guess you call it mission creep. Over time, I got moved into the activity of making people look bad, right? Like the interviews I did about Ron Miscavige, right? So
Right.
like it really started when Anonymous happened in 2008. Then I started being pulled into
Yes.
meetings. What do you think we should do about this? Let's
Mhm.
make some videos. I started getting involved in that really bad stuff, which I didn't like doing it, but it was like, well, I'm a Scientologist, I'm like, you know what I'm talking about. When you're
Yeah,
still like in,
yeah, it's your duty.
yeah, your head's just in the wrong. You don't want to be, I mean, whatever. But
Yeah.
so when the Going Clear film came out and people were just going completely psychotic at the base, like it was just, oh my God, and
Yeah.
um, some they
That
got,
one film, by the way, it
yeah,
created so much damage to
oh
Scientology, that one
yeah,
film. So much.
between Anonymous, the Going Clear documentary, the pandemic,
The
and Danny
Tampa Bay
Masterson.
Times
Yeah, Tampa Bay Times, big time,
and the aftermath.
yeah, and the aftermath. Those things are just like the game.
Nuclear.
I mean, it's exposed the fact that Scientology is a worldwide crime scene that's happening in real time. Yeah,
Yes.
and that people are really interested because there's so many crime scene watchers out there, and then you've got a bunch of us who are like victims and witnesses, and we're like reporting on it in real time and relating about
Yes.
what happened. I mean, they might as well just take crime tape and start putting it around all the churches.
I know.
It's like crime scene tape, right? It's just like it's a
I love that
big.
it's an active crime scene. It actually
It is.
is.
It's a crime
I'm
scene.
making merch that's like
Yeah,
active crime
please,
scene
please.
Scientology. Yeah.
I have a couple of messages I'm really pushing. One of them is that Scientology is a crime scene, and that we'll talk about this later. But and that Tom Cruise, contrary to popular opinion, is Scientology's number one victim. That's not to say he doesn't have a lot to account for. Okay, we can talk about that later. He has a lot to be held accountable for, but he is the number one most victimized person in Scientology. And I can walk you through why I think that. But nonetheless, here we were talking about
That'd
how,
be an interesting conversation because, of
yeah,
course, I've got history on on that
yeah, of
too,
course,
and a
because
lot
you
of
interacted
viewpoints about it too.
you interacted with Tom. You helped staff his household. You helped put his
Mhm.
staff together. I mean, I
Yeah,
knew a lot of those people, and I spent, I think, a number of times I went and visited the sets of movies he made because I would get invited to go be an observer and hang out. And so a lot of those people that you hired to work with them, they would travel in
I would be
they
there.
were part
Yeah.
of the movie entourage, and it was
Mhm.
whatever, it was annoying. But
They
but
were there to report on him,
so
you know?
100%. Well, and to run
Yep.
things standardly, they did kind of right. They kind of
Mhm.
tried to keep this sort of Scientology admin kind of thing, administrative policies in, but they were absolutely there to be spies. Uh, so what happened was they got somebody to the Sundance Film Festival, one of their spies. The first place that film was ever seen was at Sundance before it premiered on HBO, right? And so they got somebody in there with like a lipstick camera or a cell phone or something, and they made an illegal copy of it. And I got handed a copy, like, watch this. We got to figure. So I saw the film. It was really hard to watch on that copy, and I'm like, oh wow, that's a really good film. I was literally thinking of calling Alex Gibney because that's around the time when I was really wanting to leave. I had to figure it out because
Oh my
my
gosh.
whole my whole career was wrapped up in it, and I was making a mental note like, maybe call Alex Gibney. You have a pretty good resume, and he knows your work because they really
Yeah.
studied all the Scientology work. Maybe he'd give you a job. I mean, I'm literally thinking this.
Uh,
So that's when
yes,
I
the
became
seed was
aware of it.
planted.
Yeah, that's what when I
Yes.
really became aware of the whole But even worse, I became aware of the fact that everybody at Gold knew it was happening. If you don't really hear this, Amy, but the whole was a Gold op. You hear, yeah, it was Miscavige and he's the one that ordered and all that thing, but Gold ran it. It was Gold security. Gold was, making them whatever food they were allowed to eat. It was 100% because Gold was responsible for the physical plant. That in addition to films, they were like handle the grounds, they handled everything that was not management. Gold handle. If
Yeah.
your toilet fucking blew up, excuse my language.
Yeah.
If your toilet blew up, you called an engineer from Gold. He came and fixed your toilet. So
Like
they ran
management
the
was on Gold's base. That's how
yeah.
we always
Yeah,
viewed
and
it
Gold
as
was there
well.
to help to take care of you guys and make sure that
Yeah.
you could do your jobs. That was ideally how it's supposed to be. They were
Yeah.
supposed to make sure that the electricity was on and that you had a light bulb got changed when it burned out, all that kind of stuff. So you don't hear enough about how Gold ran that. Somehow they got off the
Right.
hook because it was all
Yeah. Too
Dave's
many
project,
people
but
knew. Yeah.
they all
I
knew.
I
I
got off
couldn't
the
believe
base.
it.
Yeah. When you found
Yeah.
out, you couldn't believe it?
What I couldn't believe was that everybody knew. I thought,
Right.
like, they didn't keep it secret up there. Like in probably 2017, there's a young man that I was apprenticing to direct, and I asked him for where something was on the base. I needed to go. I mean, I knew where everything was, but something was temporarily at a certain place. And he said, "Oh, it's up there. Go up to the music studio. It's right by where the hole used to be." Like it was just a geographical notation. And I was just like,
Oh
"Oh,
my
you mean where
god.
these people were held and brutalized?" And it was just like, yeah, because
Tortured.
they
Tortured.
yeah, they bulldozed it down, planted a bunch of grass and a bunch of flower beds, and now it's just like, over here we have more of the lovely grounds. It's like
Mhm.
it's really disgusting. I couldn't take it after a while. It was just like, what am I doing?
I went back up to the in base with BBC, John Sweeney when we
Yeah,
were
but you didn't get
doing,
in the gate. So
no, I didn't get in the gate, I didn't wanna get in the gate, I can tell you that.
yeah,
I had
what was
every
it?
kind of
Yeah,
EBGB feeling
that must have
going
been
up there, I can tell you.
that
It was
must have been
terrible.
really, really triggering.
It was
I don't
terrible.
want to go
I
out
mean,
there.
20 years that I was locked behind those gates for 20 years,
Yeah,
20
yeah,
years. On the
yeah. I mean,
RPF, in
yeah,
management, on the decks. I knew I crawled in every attic of that place. I like,
yeah.
oh, and the memories. And because I remember the day that I was okay. So it was really heavy duty when I left the in base. All
Mhm.
kinds of the holy hell was breaking loose, and I got sent to the rehabilitation project force. Thankfully, because otherwise I'd still today be on that base, locked down. But so I left to the decks and then to Florida, and I remember looking back. I turned around. The van's driving me to the airport with security, and I remember turning around and looking at the base, saying, "This is the last time I'm going to see this place. It's the last time." Hallelujah.
Yeah,
I'm going to the
yeah,
RPF. I could care less. I'm going to the RPF. I don't care if I have to scrub toilets for, with a toothbrush for 10 years straight. I'm off this base. And,
yeah.
and I'm like thinking, don't get a flat tire on the way. Let's just get there. And so when I came back, I forget what year it was now, probably 2009, maybe with BBC or
Mhm.
2010, probably 2010, I'm
Yeah.
sure. Um, Man, I remember thinking, like, I haven't been back here, I didn't wanna come back here, we were, stationed, in Hemet in the town, which didn't bother me too much because I never spent any time in town. I couldn't tell you where the first thing was. I lived there 20 years. I had no idea. So that didn't bother me so much, but when we started going and we turn around the corner and you're on the road, Gilman Hot Springs Road, and then it was just like, ugh, every single thing just, like, went just went off in my brain, and I'm being
Wow.
videoed the whole time, so I'm just like, everything's fine." And
Right,
we
right.
walked
You're putting on a
around
good
there.
show.
Yeah, and they had, PIs there filming us that were hired PIs, and I think I put it up on my um, on my on my YouTube site where it's uh, BBC is videoing them, videoing us, and we were, so it's
Yeah.
crazy, stupid stuff. So that was a hard time, and that was the last time I had ever been there. I drove past one time going from one place to another place, and it was like, okay, I don't need to see this. But those trailers were still there at that time. They still
Oh,
had the
yeah, yeah, oh,
lockdown.
yeah, 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 absolutely, because that was in 2009. I mean, I they didn't tear
10.
it down till yeah, they didn't tear it down till after going clear.
Yeah. What year
So,
was
yeah,
Going Clear again?
well, I think it was 20 well, I seemed somebody in the chat tell us real quick, what year was
Yeah,
going clear?
was
I thought it was
Going
like
Clear.
2015, something like
Yeah, so
that.
people were in that stupid hole for years. It wasn't like it was a 3-month project or something like that. It was like it was years that people were locked down, you know?
Yeah, oh, yeah,
I
for
can't
sure.
think
It was horrible. It was, oh,
and
and,
it was all the
first it
people
just
that I
started.
was working with.
Yeah, and it's first it started as you guys executives, a bunch of executives, and then it just grew. I mean, I couldn't believe people from the qualifications division that were like auditors and supervisors, and it was just crazy. Like how many people got thrown in there, and I could never understand why.
I
Um,
mean, David Miscavige
yeah,
said that I think there was something like between 5 and 700 people total at the base at one point, and he said he was gonna strip it down to 35 people, because it was gonna be just the people who were loyal to him, and so I guess there's only a couple people. Yeah,
yeah. Well, but he left there in 2013. He told me he was never going back.
good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think compared to what it was right now, it's probably a paradise for elderly Sea Org members because everybody up there
Oh
is getting
god.
pretty old. But yeah, it's nothing
They're
like
all
what it
senior
used.
citizens, so
Yeah, there might
nobody
be
was
some
al
for. There's some people in their 40s. So that's the
yeah.
youngest.
Nobody new was allowed to go up there.
No, 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 no,
I
no, no,
remember
no.
the very last person that made it up there, and it was, like, by this just it was totally closed down right after that, was some new guy that went into the audio division. He didn't last very long.
Yeah,
Um,
and there was the most recent person. I don't remember his name, but he came up. He's a foreign guy, maybe Scandinavian. He came up to do translations, and that was it. And he's like the
mhm,
newbie. I think they still think of him
yeah.
as the newbie. He's been there for like 20 years, only because they don't get new people there. So like you're gonna be the newbie forever, and then nobody gets married up there ever again. Like there's a person
No, of
used to be
course not.
there's a person, a staff member up there used to be my assistant for years, and when I left, she had been engaged for 9 years. So I don't know
'Cause
who gets
nobody's
engaged.
allowed to.
Yeah, and I would ask her, "How come you guys don't get married?" "Oh, well, he's still doing his clearances. He's been doing his clearances for 9 years." So
Oh, so he wasn't up there.
no, he was
So,
there. They didn't care. It
what
was
do you
like
mean
they
he's doing
needed a
his
guy.
clearances?
Well, I know, but it's probably just BS. But there has to be an
It is.
excuse. For years and years and years, the excuse is, "Well, we're not the base is not in a higher condition, so nobody can get married."
Yeah.
Which is like the way they control people's lives. It's just crazy. I just have to say one thing. I mean, I have my own insights into working with the Sea Org for 30 years, but I never had that trauma of being restricted. I mean, there were short
Yeah.
periods of time where I was restricted to the base and it was horrible. But let me ask you
You
a question.
were?
Did you ever have, huh?
You were restricted to the base?
Oh, there were times when I was restricted to the base. I was in some kind of ethics trouble or what, something was
But what
happening.
did that mean? Like, you're staying at the G's?
Yeah,
Or
okay, yeah,
or
fair enough. I'm staying in and I have a housekeeper and yeah, no, like yeah, I'm
it's
not
so
trying to
horrible?
paint a yeah, no,
No, no,
Amy,
it's
I'm not
okay.
trying to yeah, I'm not trying to say, "Oh, woe is me," but my point is
No,
that
no, it's totally
or
okay, and it
me
was
or I
inhumane. It was inhumane. It just
yeah.
wasn't as
I mean, I
inhumane as
had
when I
golden
was
handcuffs,
restricted.
okay? Your handcuffs were, like, kinda rusty and old. Mine were golden. They're
Sharp.
still handcuffs, okay? So
Yes, they are
so
handcuffs.
yeah,
Oh,
but,
believe me, I don't mean to belittle it
yeah, no,
whatsoever.
I
It
know.
just makes me laugh.
No,
It makes me
it's
laugh.
fair enough, but it's but no, but you're right. I mean, You want to hear one of the most awkward things I ever experienced in there was
Yeah.
woe is Mitch. Yeah, blow drill says woe is Mitch. Thank you,
I
blow
know,
drill.
I saw.
Yeah, yeah, he was up at CST pissing on ice and
Mhm.
farting through silk underwear. So, we know where you guys were at. So, so anyway, I almost ate a dog chew. No, so or like when we were doing some like really intense projects, like when we were working to counter Anonymous in 2008, and we were readying the whole website thing. Like their entire web empire started in 2008, and I got to throw the switch on it. Like it came down to one link on it, and it was like hit that link and we're live. And we were up for days and days and days. Like I couldn't go anywhere then. That's the same as being restricted to the base. Like I could
Yeah, yeah.
not leave because this whole stuff is going on, and it's
Right.
incredibly stressful. And
Yeah.
Dave and Lou, neither of them wanted to. Nobody wanted to be. He's like, you do it, you do it. Like they didn't want to be responsible, because if it was wrong, it was a good effort. Their internet effort was good. I mean, we were launching millions of web pages, but it didn't do anything because
Yeah.
their reputation is so bad that a bunch
It
of
is.
kids, yeah, I mean, a bunch of people with no money with iPhones and a microphone are just killing them with
Yeah.
numbers and
I know.
popularity. They're spending millions. They have like private contractors who know the internet better than anybody in the world, and they can't do anything to save their reputation. But anyway,
I know. They can't, and the
so
reason why is because they don't change, and they can't change because
they
they're
they actually
operating
do
on their
change.
own Hubbard policy.
Yeah, but they get worse. The only
They
change
do.
they know is they get worse, because
Yeah.
I saw things over the years get worse. What I was gonna
Yeah.
say was that I may have my special insight from my observer position, but I never had that trauma like you did, of really being restricted to the base. And I realized this the other day because everybody I know that I worked with up there, like Mark and Claire and Mike Rinder, they've all said, "Oh yeah," that like Mark said, yeah, until he wrote his book, he'd have nightmares about being back at the base. Everybody at one point said they had nightmares about being back, but I never had nightmares about being back there. I never did, and I
Yeah.
thought that's probably. I mean, I had nightmares about living under a freeway overpass because I couldn't find a job. But
Right. Yeah. Those are nightmares too.
my nightmares were different. They weren't like being back up. Anyway.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah,
mean, oh, I still have nightmares and I wrote a book, so it doesn't really it
yeah.
hasn't,
It doesn't necessarily end.
fully.
Yeah, but I'll tell
Yeah,
you something. S&P was worse than gold. In terms
really.
of,
I know
in
nothing
terms of,
about SMP. Yeah.
yeah,
W
because
Why? Because of
because
demands or what?
no, 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 because Miscavige trained this flag trained HCO establishment, what they call is, they refer to it as establishment, like an establishment team. He brought them in, and essentially their job, the statistic of these people was to, the weekly statistic is number of situations, which is a bad thing. Situation is a bad thing. As in Houston, we have a situation. It's a bad thing. And so it's number of situations detected and handled. And
Oh
so
god.
things can never be going well, because if things are going well, then they don't have a statistic. And they're the meanest people in the world. These are
Ah.
people, Amy, I kid you not, towards the end when I was there, they were trying to sec check pros who were not even Scientologists.
Oh god.
Literally, they were dragging them
You
into
know,
HCO and trying to put them on the meter.
do it.
It was
Do
really
it. Let's
bad.
close this place down. Yeah. They're just making they make their own worst enemies, flat out,
Yeah, well, Rachel and
you
I
know?
were talking the other day that if they have to sell S&P, I'm gonna try to get a job with whoever bought it, because it's a great
That
facility.
would be
So,
funny. Is it?
I would
Oh, that would be
yeah,
funny.
it's really
But, like, what probably one of the stupidest, dumbest things that L. Ron Hubbard ever did is this whole statistic thing, and that it had to be up every single week
yeah.
because it just makes everybody insane. They just go completely insane. So,
Yeah,
at
and
this
you
time, I'd
yeah,
like to look at some of these, comments, okay? I have some
please.
starred comments here, and, we'll just look at them. I just wanted to show this. Good evening from Glasgow, Scotland. Wonderful. Um, And then Destiny Salazar says, "Was there a particular moment when you realized that Scientology didn't actually help people?"
I guess that's a question for both of us, huh?
Well, I know when mine was. Um, I think there's a lot of answers to that because it wasn't like an exact moment, but when I read the L. Ron Hubbard affirmations and realized that he was a complete, totally gross lunatic, and then started researching L. Ron Hubbard and the whole stuff with Aleister Crowley and Jack Parsons and all this, and his other wives and his 7 children, and I'm like,
Right.
"Oh my god, I was in there all this time, and I didn't know anything about L. Ron Hubbard." You know, and what I just found out makes me so sick to my stomach. It makes my stomach turn. And so the whole thing just was a lie. And then I just everything, everything
Yeah.
to me was just now I have to question every single thing I ever thought. And I have. And that's why I'm here
Yeah.
speaking out.
Yeah. I
What
think for
about
me,
you?
it was the realization that the world today is so connected and so many people have so many ways of speaking their mind, and yet you can't find one case of a person who was helped by Scientology who's telling their story, and that story wasn't packaged and delivered by the Church of Scientology. And
Right,
when I started
right.
realizing the degree to which it's all propaganda, and
Oh, I
that
love that.
you really want to feel that you're connected to something, and occasionally something sneaks through. Like, remember this guy who wasn't even a Scientologist, but he used the L. Ron Hubbard study technology, and he started holding schools on the streets of Calcutta. And he actually
Mhm.
was helping people. He was helping
Yeah.
children who were illiterate and homeless. And so you grab onto that in your mind, and you're like, yes,
Here's
and you're
one
complete.
incident.
Yeah, and you're gaslit, and you're like going, "Yes, we do great things." And then Rachel Hastings is off traveling on the world making these documentaries, and also because I worked on these How We Help infographics for like the events, and they'd say, 40,000 people gotten off of drugs and the murder rate
Mhm.
lowered in Colombia. And I'm watching the numbers being cooked, and like, as long as you could draw them back to something truthful, like there was a Youth for Human Rights campaign that was done in South America in some country, and they'd bought some ads on cable, and the cable company had something like, 20 million subscribers, so therefore the number just becomes 20 million people reached with this message. And it's just like, I'm like, wait a minute. So yeah,
I remember the back conversations that we would have in management about putting together the facts, quote
the
unquote,
numbers,
about
yeah,
statistics. Yeah, because it all had to show that it was up. So how do you frame it? And what can data can we? Okay, let's not include that statistic. Let's put this one, and then if we
right,
add this to that, that would mean this.
right,
um,
right.
but I think that in both of our positions, and particularly your position, you made Scientology look good, you know? Like I got an amazing celebrity center put there, and it was beautiful. It's beautiful. Like, you can go in
100%.
there, the restaurant is, like, 4-star, the place is beautiful, people can bring their friends there, whatever.
I've stayed
Everyone
in the
looks
hotel.
professional.
There were
Yeah,
times when I needed to get out of my house, or there was painters
yeah,
were there. I'd go down and stay at the Manor. It's great.
right.
It's a great
Yeah,
place to stay.
so I'm responsible for the degree that other celebrities would, and I drilled the staff, whatever, put in the lines where
Right.
celebrities could come in and get intro lectures so that or seminars on
Yeah, hey,
working in the
maybe you're
industry.
just as guilty as I am of making the whole damn thing look
What
good.
I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I wasn't
Yeah,
trying to
like,
make you
no,
guilty, but we both
I
we
know,
both really put
I was having a
realization.
realization like, "Wait a minute."
Yeah. You
Yeah,
you
and
take
it's
too much
yeah.
blame, I think, but because we all
Well, I
have
think
our
I still
part.
give myself a little bit too much blame for that.
Yeah, and I do too. I mean, but we're here taking initiative to expose that
Yeah.
and to I don't know, it's a realization, of like, wow, you put the beautiful films out and
Yeah.
the at the events, all the AV. If there was no AV for Scientology, they wouldn't be where they are today. Well,
No,
anyway,
well,
they would be in the dust.
well, you may have seen it, but back in 1963, when Hubbard was running St. Hill, he did this filmed lecture called "An Afternoon at St. Hill." Did you ever see that? But
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, he steps out on his back patio, being the
Lawn. Mhm.
yeah, in the rose garden, and he's playing the part of the landed gentry gentleman. It's just a big cosplay. And he says Scientology will only go so far as it works, and it will only work if it's properly taught, and it can only be properly taught if you can see how it's done, and you can only see how it's done if you have films. So it became a big deal. The films, more
Yeah.
than people realize.
Yeah, yeah, it
Anyway,
was
whatever.
huge.
But yeah,
And
yeah.
Miscavige made it even bigger. Like, it was a big deal to
Oh
have.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so what David Miscavige said, and we used to have many conversations about this with David Miscavige in the Watchdog Committee, is you have to take people's, um, let's see, people's inadequacies out of the picture, and you use audiovisual to do that. So when somebody comes into Scientology, you don't depend on the stupid person who's sitting there to tell them the wrong things. They
Oh,
see,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, it's the Div 6 little videos. Div 6 is the public outreaching video. So they come in and they
Yeah.
see this film that describes this. They see this film, then they're walked over to here and they see this little, film, and you take
Right.
people's errors and inadequacies out of the picture. So he just wanted to do that, and their ideal organizations are like that. Did you make
Right.
those
Right.
films?
Yeah. In Div 6, I designed the whole thing. The displays, the layout.
I knew it.
I did the
I
whole
knew
I
it.
did the whole thing. I spent a year and a half not making films, designing the
And
public
working
information
on
displays.
that. I This was a
Yeah.
hobby horse that David Miscavige had, totally,
Well,
because he
the
he
thing
brought it up
was,
all the time.
the thing, yeah, I before that I did the Industry of Death Museum, and that was a self-guided tour, and that based on having a successful self-guided tour, Dave thought, oh well, let's do Div 6 because that'll be a self-guided tour. But yeah, I had a lot to do with that. It was a big deal. But the thing is, I was going to say, the success of Scientology early on, like in the 50s and 60s, it was based on having public lecturers. Remember, there were people
Yes.
that would give public lectures, and Miscavige decided he hated the idea of anybody giving a public lecture. He wanted to get rid of
Yeah.
public lectures. He told me, like, what am I going to do about some kid in some Eastern European country who is recruited in a mission, and he's been in Scientology for 2 weeks, and somebody asked him, what is Scientology? We can't tolerate that. So we need a push button. He wanted everything. Just
That's
add
right.
water. Remember that? Just add water, push
Yes.
button. Like he used to say
Everything
this
had to
all
be
the time.
AV.
Yeah,
Yep.
get everybody
Yeah,
out, get the human people out of there because he hates
that's right.
people. He's a psychopathic narcissist. He doesn't trust
And if they
anybody.
say anything wrong, that way he can say, "This is what they say," put it in a
Yeah,
video and make everybody do it. And so
yeah,
everybody is saying what he wants said. That's why he did the new era of management and the command teams. They all had to be approved
yeah.
by him. It had to be people who were gonna be his people all around the world,
Right,
because he
right, right, right.
yeah, anyway, he's the biggest narcissist I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
he's
I'll do the
dangerous.
next one. Ready? Very much
Yeah,
so. Okay,
yeah.
so
Oh, we got it.
this was a
Look,
question
Christy
about.
said hi. Hi, Christy. Christy's in the chat. She
Really?
said hi.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Hello,
yeah.
hello. And
Okay, sorry
and so
about
this
that. Go on.
is
I got excited. I
this is a
haven't talked to
question
her in a
for
long time.
you, which is
Okay.
gonna be
Yeah,
how many
go ahead.
people did you have in your film crew and what were their roles?
Well, let me see. At the height of the film crew, we had about 25 to 30 people, and they had the typical roles that they would have in any motion picture crew in the industry. The only difference is there was a little bit of difference. Like Mark Headley, when he was what was called the shoot crew chief, which should be the equivalent of a production manager,
Yeah.
uh, but kind of not really, because in Hollywood or in the industry, a production manager also works in pre-production, which they separate up the hats of pre-production, production, and post-production in a way that the industry generally doesn't. But it was the same, and we didn't have one of my other big beefs was they didn't have they didn't have a set decorator. They let the props department to also do set decoration, which is, when a motion picture film receives an Oscar for production design, they also, they give it to the art director, production designer. They also give it to the set decorator, gets an Oscar. So you'd think it's a pretty important role on a film crew, but they never had one at Gold. I wrote a lot of stuff about you need to reorganize the org board and you need to and they're like, so that never happened.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was
It never
pretty
happened.
typical. Yeah, it was a very typical roles. I didn't really have an AD, an assistant director. I had a director's assistant, but that's like, give me some tea. But
Yeah,
anyway,
that's different.
yeah, it's old,
I had a
different
question.
thing. Yeah,
Was Vibke Hansen, was she in the
yeah,
sets and
yeah.
props
Just
department?
my backdrop. You didn't see the video. My backdrop that you're looking at right now.
Yeah,
Vipka painted that.
she did.
Yeah, did I
What, did
just
you
blow
have a
your
picture
mind?
of it?
Huh?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you
No,
blew my mind.
Vipka's a really good artist. No, this was painted. I shot some PSAs, public service announcements, fake PSAs with the LA Galaxy, the LA soccer team, back when Beckham was with them. He never played with them, but he was
No.
actually on the team for a while. He was like a show pony on the LA Galaxy for a while. But we did some PSAs with the Galaxy, and I had them for a day. I had them each for 10 minutes. I had to put them on a stool in front of a backdrop and have them give some announcement about the Youth for Human Rights program. And so I needed a really pretty backdrop like this, and to put it down wide just for a minute. Go to the other format. Just put it on wide, because you see, it's a really nice backdrop, and it was huge,
Yeah.
huge backdrop. And then I worked with Vipka like every day for 2 weeks. Say, no, a little more copper, a
Wow.
little more. There's like 30 colors in here. There's automotive colors, metallic colors, and they were going to throw it away because I didn't have room to store it. So she came to me one day and she said, hey, do you want me to cut a piece off and give it to you, because we're going to throw it away? And I'm like, absolutely. So, I didn't
Wow. So
steal
you
it.
kept it.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I did not know that Vipka Hansen was Vipka Hansen. We used to see her birthday game. I didn't know she had been illegally trafficked to Gold, made to join the
She
Sea
totally
Org,
was.
and then human trafficked to Gold. Well, first to Happy Valley, then human trafficked to Gold, and made to like be a painter in the art department. I didn't know any of this. Like, they lied to me when I said, what's the deal with this woman? They said, oh, she's an empty nester and she's OTA. She decided to join the Sea Org. Just
Oh,
complete
yeah. That
lie.
was David Miscavige. She didn't even get to go back to Germany to pick up anything. She went straight to the
No.
RPF.
Yeah,
Yep.
straight to Happy Valley. Like, she was forced to join the Sea Org, and then trafficked illegally to Gold, where she remains
and
to this
kept
day
there, and
in
her
the art
family didn't know
department.
where she was. It sucked so bad. That was David
Yeah, I've
Miscavige
been,
because she had false stats in Hamburg. She was the executive director of Hamburg, and because
right.
she had false statistics, she was sent there. But anyway, yeah, so I noted it down. I wanted to ask you about that. Yeah, so she was still there, huh? That's crazy.
Yeah, you might. I got a question from. Well, you do them in whatever order you want.
I'll go ahead and do the ones that
Well,
I've got
no,
starred, and then if you see anything else, we'll
Bernice
do it.
Dooley asked a question. That was at a little bit. It was at 5:18, so it was a little bit ago.
Okay. But, let me just go through these here, and then I'll search. Do you see something? If you see it, let me just look
Yeah,
real quick.
I can't control it because I'm just a guest.
You say
She had a question
5:18?
5:18. Well, no, that's my time. So that would be
I know.
your
At 8:18.
yeah.
Okay, 1 second, I'm on my way, urgently on my way. So,
It's
I
an
don't
interesting question.
and it's Bernice, did you say?
Yeah, Bernice Dooley, she asked yeah, there you go. Mitch, when you stayed at the hotel, did you see underage children working there as SO members? Thank you. I don't know what their ages were, but yeah, there was a lot of young kids working there in the hotel staff. They may have well been underage, maybe 17 or something, but they weren't
Right.
like kids. They
Yeah.
I think that went on more at Flag. It also went on at Ant. I mean, I was sec check by Marty Rathbun's, you know who I'm talking about, by his
Totally.
little what's her name, his protege. Well, he's verbally sexually abusing her, screaming obscenities in her ear to ask me. So I've experienced that kind
Really?
of stuff. Yeah,
What's with
yeah.
these stupid people that they think that they can treat people like that? Even in my darkest days, I wasn't like that. I wasn't
Of
like
course
that.
not.
It
Of
didn't.
course not. Most people weren't. like
Yeah,
like they were. Most people were not. They were good people. So thanks for that question, but it definitely goes
yeah.
on.
Yeah, thank you. Let's see. I just wanted to show Apostate Alex. He's in the house and he's got a bunch of different little. He writes question and then says something funny. But anyway, I'll show them.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
We're
he
power thetans. Well, he did a really funny little 41-second video. Everyone should see after this live stream. Go to Alex's website and
yeah.
see his
Just
little
be
uploaded
sure that
power thetans.
yeah. Be sure when you watch it, you're not you're not drinking a liquid because you'll blow it out your nose. You're gonna laugh so hard. So
I
you've
just
been
wanted
warned.
to
Okay.
show that
I
we have
laugh.
somebody from Perth.
I laughed
That's
so hard when
awesome.
he showed it to me. I almost hurt myself.
That
So
is funny.
it's really good.
Hello from St. Louis, Queen Bee and Mitch. That's awesome. I just wanted to show a couple of these. Quebec City. That's awesome. We've got Holland. That's awesome. A lot of times I do this at the beginning, but I just started things so that we could talk because I had so much on my mind when I wanted to first
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
with
yeah,
you.
yeah.
This one says, Alex, shall we take some crime scene tape? Yes, because
Yes.
Scientology is an active crime scene. I swear. I
No, no, no.
love
Yeah,
that.
it's an international crime scene. It's an active,
Yeah.
ongoing crime scene. It is. Yeah, we should
International,
all make.
ongoing.
Yeah, yeah,
I love that. Yes.
yeah. We didn't get
Ann
to
Burroughs
talk
says,
about my thing about Tom Cruise being the number one victim, but we can do that some other time.
I think we should, because it's something I've got a lot to say on as well, and I'm really
Yeah, we
interested in
should talk.
hearing
Yeah,
what you have to say.
yeah, because yeah. Yeah. I mean, the last time I interacted with Tom was we had dinner. You know that dinner they have at the IES event. I think it's before the patrons ball. They have a dinner in the manor for all the
Mhm,
whales, right? They get.
mhm.
You know what I'm talking about? There's like
Yeah.
it's catered by like this company that caters for the royal family and blah blah blah. Anyway, so I was at this dinner and I was at it just eating. I was having dinner with Tom, at Dave's table with Tom and Lou, and who else was there? Oh, Diana Hubbard was there, and Kate Ceberano and her husband. Kate Ceberano, for you people that don't know, she's a big, very popular Australian pop star and a lovely person who grew up in Scientology in Melbourne, as they say. So, but that was the last time I interacted with them, and that was 2016
Yeah,
or 17. I think
right.
so.
Yeah, a long time ago. So then Ann
Yeah.
Burroughs says, "Were all of TC's staff Sea Org? Can't he afford to pay for his own staff?"
No, they weren't.
He is
None
paying
of them
his
were.
own staff. Yeah, those
Yeah.
none of them were Sea Org members.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, you
even
vetted a
though
bunch of
Sea Org
people, right? You vetted
yeah,
a bunch of
yeah.
public people,
It was
like they
all
weren't
public
Sea
people that
Org.
were
Yeah,
hired. But before all of these people were hired, Sea Org members were doing the jobs, just so you know. Like,
right.
Jenny Gaynor from the Int base was at his house full time doing
Jenny
all the
was?
stuff.
I had no
Jenny
idea.
Gaynor.
Whatever happened to her?
Yes.
You know?
She died. I heard that she died of cancer or
Oh,
something.
no. Oh, yeah.
And
That's
yeah,
terrible. She was my
and,
housekeeper for a while.
yeah, she
But
did that.
yeah,
She worked in the
yeah,
household unit,
yeah,
and
yeah.
anyway, so she went down, and I had to replace her with a cook and an executive housekeeper, a maid, a nanny, all this stuff. So anyway,
Right,
and then
right.
also the audio visual team. So we could go on a whole Tom Cruise role, but anyway, also
Yeah,
the
we
audio
can do
visual
that sometime.
team that built his in-home theater and
Yeah,
surround
his
sound and all
system.
that. They were just there full time. So he had tons of Sea Org staff. Plus, oh, anyway, I can't go on a roll on. We're gonna do a Tom Cruise
Yeah,
separately.
let's do that because we have interesting
Yeah,
perspectives on it.
yeah. Um, let's see. Apostate
Hey,
Alex
it's
is
Gary.
huh?
Gary Jackson Moorhead is in the house.
Is he? Oh, good. Hey, Jackson.
Yeah.
Um, So this one says, what plans do you think might be in place already for if COB dies or ends up in jail? Do you think they have a battle plan ready or not because they're not sure it won? There's definitely no battle plan
No, absolutely
whatsoever.
not.
David Miscavige would rather shut down all of Scientology than lose his position, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
And if he
And he
does
would
go to prison,
never
if
groom somebody else up.
there's been plenty of instances where a mafia boss went to prison and continued to run the mafia. If he did
Right.
somehow go to prison, he would run Scientology from inside of prison. You better believe
Yeah.
it, because he is like a mafia boss.
Yeah, and they would make it like, that he's a martyr, whatever. And then question, Alex, you're so funny. What's the bigger flap, missing my stream with Amy or me going bald before I'm 30? Missing your stream.
Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna look good bald. So why is that even a flap? I don't get
I
it.
know. Oh, you're so handsome. It's no problem.
Yeah.
Um, and then
He's just looking
another
for a
one just
compliment.
yeah, and he's fishing for him. So this
Yeah,
one is
totally.
were there ever any awkward moments where CLB farted in an inappropriate time or blamed it on someone else? God, Alex. Isn't it
Oh, you
late
could
in
you
England?
could put
I
up
think you
this
need to go to
comment
bed.
from, oh, I'm sorry, Amy, I didn't mean to.
Which one?
The one for 5:30, 8:30 your time, sticky, fluffy wickets, about the
Okay.
comment about Kate Ceberano. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
glad
Kate
you brought that up,
Ceberano.
because I never really knew that what her personal, her perception is. I knew she sold a lot of records right there, but it's actually good to know that. And it's interesting to know that in Australia they think the Scientology thing is nuts.
Right.
Okay, good.
No,
Thanks,
I
thanks for
don't
that.
know. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's
Yeah,
good.
I had no idea.
Yeah. And anyway, uh, love you, Jackson. We need to do one together, Jackson, because I got some questions for you.
Yeah, no, yeah, you should invite me in on that one.
Yeah, that would be
Y-
fun.
Yeah, no, I've
Yeah.
wanted to do like a gold base stream. We've not done it. Like you, me, Mike, Claire, Headley, Jackson, all of us that know each other from the base, from gold base, would just be a lot of fun.
It would be. Absolutely. I'm putting this up so everyone knows. Subscribe to Mitch's YouTube channel at Scientology The Big Lie. And
Thank you
then
very
if you're on
much.
his channel and not subscribed to my channel, I'm Queen BSP or just Amy Scobee. You can find me. And then the other thing I wanted to say was, um, one second. What was it? Where'd it go?
Did you see this comment here from Homeboy wore combat boots to the beach? You need to shorten
No,
that down, dude.
how did HWCB be? How does
Yeah.
Scientology Swing do in the PSA with LA Galaxy? Did they pay the players? I don't know anything about that.
No, yeah, no, what they did was there used to be a time when Scientology's reputation was still intact enough where these kind of front groups, these PR puff machines like Youth for Human Rights, they could do partnerships, and they would probably pay a sponsorship. In other words, they would be like a sponsorship at the stadium. You get what I'm saying? Like they'd pay
Yeah.
money to put up advertising and so forth. So they weren't paying the players directly. And plus, there was, the soccer generally is very youth engaged. They're very engaged with youth, especially in America, because in America we have a thing called whatever it is, youth soccer, whatever, which is how players come up. Like half the galaxy, all the ones that are American players, all came up through the American Youth League. So they're really easy to sucker into something like, hey, we have a program, Youth for Human Rights. So they may have just done it to, donate half a day of their time to doing this thing
Mm.
to make themselves look good. But they're not getting those partnerships anymore. They're so radioactive, especially
Oh,
after the last mayoral election in LA, where, basically the two mayoral candidates, they had an arm wrestle, they were literally arm wrestling over who hated Scientology, which one of them hated Scientology more. No, vote for me. I hate Scientology more. No, vote for me. I hate Scientology more. It was literally like that.
And whoever hates them the most is the winner, right?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
exactly.
Yeah. But anyway, so we've gone through our questions and my different things that I wanted to make sure to take up with you. And I'm really happy we had this talk,
Oh
Mitch.
yeah,
We
this
need
has been
to talk
great.
talk more often. You got your book coming
Yeah.
out. Matt's writing his book furiously.
Oh
I mean,
wow,
he
that's
literally
fantastic.
he's just nose down, just writing and writing and writing. So that's going to be coming together. And then after that, I'll be able to get back onto mine. And meantime, we're doing videos and
Yeah,
keeping the pressure on. We got the
yeah,
IES event coming
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
good.
real
So
quick question. Real quick
yeah.
question. We should actually start a voting pool on this. Like, what do you think the big announcement is going to be? Like, looking back, the historical thing. Like, what do you think they're going to announce? What great thing that the church did in the last 3 years since 28 since the last event? What do you think it's going to be?
That would be a
I'm
fun little
betting.
pool.
I'm betting. We may not know unless the thing leaks, but there may be some leaks. I'm betting that Miscavige is going to get up there and he's going to do a whole presentation about how Scientology saved the world from COVID.
Oh,
I'm
God.
serious because they're going to have all this. They have miles and miles of glorious video of volunteer ministers in yellow jackets and hazmat helmets and spraying Decon 7 and handing out books about. And he's going to get up there and claim um, a victory on that. And then I think he's just going to talk about the 4 orgs that he promised to open that he didn't open, right? Whatever it
Yeah.
was, he's
Mm.
just going to say, here's an update on when the orgs are going to open with no explanation about what happened.
What
Because when
happened in
you're
the
in that,
last 4 years?
yeah, no explanation. He'll just say, like, he promised to open up four orgs so far this year. And he won't even make a reference to it. He said, oh, and by the way, here's an update. We're going to open. And he'll just say it because he's in the
I
bubble. He's perfect.
guarantee. Yeah, he uses real estate as his expansion. So
Yeah,
so he's gonna be
100%.
talking about what's being purchased, what's being renovated,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. But
things like that.
that's
Yeah.
it. This, if you want to, in my mind, if you want one explanation, one way of looking at David Miscavige that explains everything, just think about Brigham Young. What Brigham Young did, he illegally trafficked Europeans to America, forced marched them to Salt Lake City, killed a ton of people, decimated the Indians, and the Mormons were treated much worse than Scientologists are being treated because back in the 1840s, it was like shoot on sight. The whole thing was let's build a fortified base so strong that they can never get rid of. And that's what he's
Mhm.
trying to do in Clearwater. And he doesn't care that the churches are
Mhm.
empty. He doesn't care
Nope,
about lawsuits and all this other crap. He
definitely.
just cares about building this thing so that Scientology can never go away, so that he can come
Plus
back and
his
keep leading it.
yeah, plus what he boasts about on his statistic, which is, assets of the church.
Yeah, it's
So
money.
just keep adding real estate, add real estate,
Yeah,
and plus it doesn't talk back to
that's
you,
yeah. That's how the Mormons ended up with $300 billion and a guy running for
right?
president and a whole state.
Yeah.
So I think he's got that playbook, that Brigham Young playbook, and he's just
Yeah,
going for
yeah.
it. So anyway, that's
Oh,
just
it's
that
just
we could talk
it's
about that some other time. But
if they didn't have the real estate that they had, they would really, really just not be much. But, Snooky,
yeah,
I just wanna
yeah,
say thank you for that.
yeah, for sure.
Um, but yeah, so there's so much ugh, anyway, one whole entire IAS event that he did was all about Lisa McPherson and how it was such a victory because it was an attack from every single angle of the universe on
Right.
Scientology. It was I mean, the way he spun that was just crazy. I did a video on that. A chapter of my book was on that, and I did a video on it. It's just shocking to me. Shocking.
Yeah, did I
Uh,
oh, yeah, you just reminded me, Amy. So around 2005, 6, mid-aughts, right? I was at a meeting. Remember what was called IMPR, International Management PR Conference Room? That was the conference room at Gold.
what
Remember
does
that he
mid-aughts mean? You
mid
said mid
2000s, mid-aught, like
Oh,
the 20 to 2010 would be like the aughts, right? Sorry about
okay.
that.
I didn't know that.
I know I made it up, so I think I
Oh,
made
you
it up.
did? Okay.
Yeah, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But so we used to meet with him a lot in this conference room, right?
Yeah.
And there's all
Uh-huh.
different kinds of meetings. Some meetings were very friendly, like a back and forth, and some meetings were, shut up, sit down, and just listen, right? And then some meetings were like, I didn't know, the Valley of Death had a conference room, right? And
Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but one of these meetings, it was just me and another guy, a writer, and it was just like a friendly back and forth. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, and like 2005, maybe the wrongful death case was going on. I don't remember when that ended because that happened afterwards. It went on for a while. I don't know what was going
Yeah.
on. I hadn't heard
I
anything.
can tell you,
Yeah.
because I was in the RPF, so it would have been probably 2004, because Alon
Okay.
Kartazinski, after that wrongful death was settled, was sent to the RPF, and I became his twin trio with
Oh,
Matt,
yeah, okay,
and,
interesting reference, time reference. So this
yes,
would be around then, around that kind of time.
yeah.
We're having this meeting, it's a perfectly friendly, happy meeting, and then he reaches into a banker's box, and he slaps this folder on the desk, and he opens it up, and it's got autopsy photos of Lisa McPherson, like, laying out on a table. Oh my god, I was so shocked. It was like, why are we looking at this? Why are we looking? And I'm thinking, oh, and he just goes off on this roll about how, about how he won the case and about how, they said she was dehydrated, but look at these pictures. And here's this poor dead nude woman or cadaver on a slab. And he's saying, look at these pictures. Does she look dehydrated to you? These are like thunder thighs. And he refers to, and so he body shames a dead woman that he was
Are you
responsible
kidding
for.
me?
I'm not making this up. He's
Oh
body
my
shaming a
god, I've
dead
never
woman.
heard this.
Well, because it just happened to me and one other guy, and he's laughing about it, and I was like so disgusted. This was in the days where I was kind of like it was becoming harder and harder to compartmentalize the bullshit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really because I was like, I was saying, why was he carrying these photos around? Because that conference room is not RTC, so anything in that conference room is brought there for him. But I was
Yeah.
thinking maybe it was the wrongful death suit he was still
No, he's
going through.
showing
But
off. He was showing off
showing
all the
off, like,
things he
look at
had to
this.
know. I
Yeah,
know,
look
'cause
at this. Does she look?
he brought, to the WDC conference room, a body, like a mannequin that you could take
Yeah,
apart, and every part of a body
a
is in it,
medical
you know?
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a medical body that you
Oh
could take
my
it
god.
apart, and you can and he's describing to us everything that he has to know about a human body in order to deal with Elisa McPherson. While you guys are sitting up here getting nothing done, this is all everything I'm having to deal
Yeah.
with. Literally, that's
Yeah,
what
well,
he's
maybe
talking
you
about.
shouldn't have killed her to begin with, okay?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what happened. They under their
Yeah,
watch, he
that's
was case programming her himself, case
yeah.
supervising her himself. Anyway, I'm gonna be talking about that on Wednesday with Biddy Miscavige because she was
Nice. Yeah,
there too,
she
and
was at
she's got a lot
CW.
of
She was
Mhm.
in the middle of the whole thing. Yeah, I remember.
Yep. Yep. So we'll be taking that subject up because she's got some insight information on that as
Yeah.
well. But yeah, DM is like this person says, yeah, he's making himself look like he's the toughest badass, yeah, and has to know be involved in everything. Oh, anyway, I can't
Yeah.
stand the guy. It's
Yeah.
and that's just one more thing that just made that definitely worse. Thank you for that. No. Oh my gosh. Anyway, uh, this is why they're destructive. They're led by a complete sociopath, egotistical sociopath, and they're dangerous because, then they have $1 billion to be dangerous with. So we'll keep
Probably more
protesting.
than we know. Yeah. I'm sorry
Yeah,
I
there's so
didn't
much
make
more.
it. I'm sorry I didn't make it to that protest. That was like I really would have
At
liked to have
Celebrity
gone.
Center? Well,
Yeah,
you're here in support, so it's okay. You're here in support. I mean, I'm in Florida.
yeah,
I would
but
love to because I was responsible for Celebrity Center, but I'm in Florida doing my thing. I can't just, like, get on an airplane to LA. I wish I could. I wish I could go
right,
to the one
right.
in England. But anyway.
Yeah, that
But
Alex is.
I'm here in support. Everyone knows that I'm here in support. So,
Yeah,
anyway, yeah, and you're here in
yeah, and
support, and
big
we're
shout out to Alex for organizing it.
yes, absolutely. Lots of support. Anyway, you need to move that computer in front of you because it looks like you're not
No,
you're
I'm gonna get it. I need to get another laptop. No, I need to get another laptop so that I can do that. Because what I can move it in front of me, but then it's gonna be like,
Oh, is that what happens?
hello.
Okay, everybody, if you like that better, let us know.
Yeah. Or just go to my Amazon wish list and buy me another laptop.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, right.
yeah, I know it makes it
Oh,
look
that's
like I'm
funny.
like, but anyway, it is
That's
what it
okay.
is. So
It's alright. That's alright.
I'm here.
Um, okay, good. Well, anyway,
I'm not a Amy. I'm not an in front of the camera guy. You know that. I'm like,
yeah, you're behind the camera guy.
yeah. I mean, I have to
Yeah.
remember to look into the lens.
Yeah. I don't
So
even if I look at the lens in on my computer, it looks like I'm looking above
looking
the
up.
lens, but
Yeah,
anyway, I don't
yeah.
even know where on my it's an all-in-one desktop thing. Anyway, whatever.
Right,
I don't know.
right.
Everyone knows that we're here and we're talking, and that's the main thing that matters.
Yeah,
But,
exactly. Yeah.
anyway, Mitch, thank you so much for being with us
Yeah,
today.
no, this has been really delightful. You completely made my day, and
Oh, good.
I hope we do it
I'm
again. We should
glad.
definitely talk about Tom. That would be fantastic.
Yes, yes, that'll be coming up, and I've got a lot of stuff kind of prepared for a video on that, and,
Mhm.
I was hoping to get well, anyway, I'm not gonna talk about
Okay.
that yet because I got things in the works, but we'll see,
Right.
and,
Okay.
but we'll definitely be doing a bunch more. If anyone hasn't subscribed to Mitch's channel, this is his channel here, and mine is at Queen Bee SP, of course. And if you haven't liked this video, look down at that like button and press it right now on both of our channels.
Yeah.
Awesome. And subscribe if
Yeah.
you're not subscribed. Okay. Anything else you'd like to say or ask before we end this session?
No, no, I'm good. Thanks, Amy.
Bye, everybody.
Take care.